Governor Well, thanks very much for joining us. I want to start by asking you about an interview you did with the Boston Globe. You told them from now until Election Day you would exclusively focus on blasting Donald Trump so he doesn't win the election. Why?
I don't know about the notion of exclusively, Anderson, but I do think that Mr. Trump's pronouncements, particularly in the international area, are in a class by themselves. I mean, he wants to have the U.S. Have a closed economy. That would be turning our back on decades of progress, which have benefited the U.S. Economically because of the benefits of free trade. So I think there's a lot of pickings there on the Republican side of the aisle. And Gary and I would still like to take our best shot at running the table here. We think if we get our name recognition up, that because Gary Johnson does not have the negatives, he may spring, from 10 to 15 to 20 to 25, and at that point we become dangerous in the final.
But in terms, I mean, if part of the goal is, and I don't know if this is correct, to peel votes from the Republican side, I mean, in our latest CNN poll, you and your running mate get 7% nationally. When it comes to millennial voters, I think that number jumps to about 17%. That's a group Hillary Clinton is obviously struggling to attract in the way that President Obama did. The number's even higher, I know, in some key battleground states. Do you acknowledge that your candidacy hurts Hillary Clinton more than Donald Trump?
No, I don't. Our polling shows just about exactly 50-50. And I think that I think the case to be made against Mr. Trump with Republican voters is so strong that I think we're going to wind up pulling more from Mr. Trump than from Mrs. Clinton.
There are people, though, who look at those numbers and say that the best way to make sure Donald Trump loses is for you to drop out of the race.
Oh, yeah. No, everybody wants me off this ticket so they don't have to worry about me. People are equal opportunity employers there. But, Gary and I are serious about this. We're both two-term governors. We served in blue states, and we were Republican governors. We worked across the aisle. And we're not doing this for our health, although it does help you lose weight and even concentrates the mind a little bit. But we're doing it because we want to win, and we want to serve, and we want to make a difference. I hope we'll do all three of those things.
In the past, when asked if you would drop out of the race if it became clear your ticket was helping Trump, you called that a hypothetical. There's no way in any scenario you could see actually dropping out.
No, that's right, because even if someone said that to me now, I wouldn't trust their polls. I would view it as a push question and as a hypothetical, and I wouldn't act on it. So I'm in this with Gary Johnson, and we'll see what we can do. We are certainly scheduled every minute of every day. We're crisscrossing the country. We're in major markets. We're in small markets. I'm taking off for Massachusetts and Maine and New Hampshire. We'll be in New York tomorrow, but then New England from there, then going out west. So we're doing what you got to do.
Let me ask you about Governor Johnson. He's gotten some flack for the past couple of weeks, obviously, as you know, when it comes to questions about his foreign policy experience. He said something yesterday that's raised more questions. I want to listen to that and then ask you about it.
Sure.
And the fact that somebody can dot the I's and cross the T's on a foreign leader or a geographic location then allows them to put our military in harm's way.
To some observers, that sounded like he was saying a lack of foreign policy knowledge means he can't initiate military action. Is that, what do you interpret?
I think Gary is frustrated by all the snap quizzes and his inability to come up with some of the answers that people want. And his point is that having the right policy is much more important than knowing the I's and the T's, what he referred to there. And he thinks, and I agree with him, that he has the right policy on Syria. That his view of the incursions into Iraq, Syria, and Libya is the correct one. And as you know, we, as a platform and as a party, we're somewhat more restrained in the use of affirmative U.S. Military power, American blood on foreign soil, boots on the ground, than the other two candidates, particularly including Mrs. Clinton, who's been the architect of two of those three policies.
But if he doesn't know of what Aleppo is, how informed can his policy to a place like Syria be?
Well, I think he didn't know what Mike Barnicle was talking about. He thought he was talking about something other than geography or the Middle East because there was no background there. So that's why he fanned on that.
Well, Governor Weld, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and
Okay.
I wish you well.